Once you get past 3 variables of the if formula, it starts to get a little bit tricky in the logic. Today, I'm going to share with you the switch formula, which is a super great alternative to the if. So without further ado, let's see how to use this. Once we jump onto the screen, I will show you that we have 2 different charts here and different review ratings. Now, once this chart on the left with the blue headers has the if formula, and the if formula is simply showing it at each variable what to do. Now, if D2, which is the cell here, equals 90, then we want this to return excellent. And if it's not 90, we continue using an if in a D2 equals 80 equals good. So the syntax is pretty long. Now let's move over to the if formula on the green table right here, and you can see that it's doing exactly the same thing, returning the same values, but it is that much shorter. All this formula does is simply take the cell that you want to change or switch and take the value right next to what it could be. Then it's simply a comma, and it just continues all the way through until you get to the end. Much easier formula to use than the if. Now let's see some used cases of how we can have this in our day-to-day examples. Let's have a look at different commission structures. Now, if you have different review ratings, you may want to have a different percentage of commission that you want to give to each of your employees. So let's try the switch formula here. So type in switch. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to good. We can either go to the review rating or we can go to the score rating, but if you prefer, let's go to good. Now we're going to switch the good with. We type in, let's go from the top, let's type in excellent. And if you type in excellent, close the brackets, what do we want to do if that value is excellent? We want to take the salary and we want to multiply it by the commission. Now you can simply go onto here, and if you're going to drag the formula, we just need to make sure that we have a $sign right here. Now let's close this and see what happens. That's obviously going to come as an NA because we haven't typed in good yet. And there you go. For the excellent, we have the thing right there. Now let's go back and build our formula. So once we have excellent, now the next thing we are going to have is a good. Once we close the good, we are going to have a D2, and this time we're going to have this value E10 right here. So let's just make sure that we close out and put a $sign there so that it takes the references down with us. The next one is going to be average. Let's type that in. And once we have the average, we are going to have D2 times the 5% right here. Let's comma that and let's continue our formula. Once it's complete, you can just drag the formula down, and as you can see, when you're poor, you don't have any commission whatsoever. So this is one of the use cases of how to use the switch formula. Another use for the switch function is a discount. So now here we have a number of items that have a certain unit price, and depending on the price we are going to give it a certain amount of discount. So let's calculate the discount using the switch formula. So equals switch, and we open the bracket. Now what do we want? We want to take the price D2, then we comma it, and then we can type it simply 3. If the value is 3, then we want it to be 5%. Now instead of using the 5%, we are now going to use a dynamic range, and we're going to click into the 5% here, and we're going to do the Windows and locking the cell right here so that can drag through our formula as we continue. Let's continue on. So let's choose the next number, which is F5, and we can then have the dynamic range right here. So F4 to lock the cells, or on certain keyboards it's the Windows button and F4. Now we can go ahead and add 15 right here, and once again we can go and highlight our 15% and F4 once again. Okay, we go to 30, comma, and once again let's click on the 20%. Okay, and finally we come to 100 and comma, and add our final 30% and lock the cells, and let's close that formula. And now you can see it has, instead of hard-coded numbers for the percentage, it has a dynamic range here. So we have a 30%. Let's drag the formula down here. The advantage of having your formula like this is you could decide to change your pricing. Let's say right here on the 5%, we're going to change this to 10% and see what happens to that. There you go, it automatically changes instead of hard coding numbers as we have done in the commission. You can take it one step further, and instead of having the 3 over here, you can once again hard code. You can once again have the numbers locked, so click into the cell and once again lock the cell at F4. So there you go, we can simply change that, and if you drag it down you can just continue to lock the cells in every single number over here. Let's go ahead and calculate the final price. And how are we going to do that? We use the equals formula, and we close the bracket at 100%, take away the price of the discount. Let's close the cell here and use a multiplication 2 times the unit price, and that should give us our final price. Double click and you have now all of your discounted prices for your sale. Now just remember, as it's very useful to have a switch function, it's the starter formula of the if. If you need to have ranges within your dataset and you want to use that, then definitely if or the ifs formulas are much better as an option for you. Now, I hope you find that useful, and if you did, I would love to know if you're going to change over to the switch formula or you're going to remain with the if formula. Comment down below, and until next time, happy spreadsheeting.